USPS is in deep trouble. Well, technically, it has been in trouble for quite some time now. It has been the victim of a series of unfortunate events. Since the introduction of the Postal Accountability and Enhancement Act in 2006, USPS is required to pre-fund 75 years of employee pension in advance. Sounds crazy, right? Well, the act was passed by Republican-led Congress. Before that, USPS would fund the obligations like any other company by withdrawing from its pension fund to fund the retirement costs as they arise. Although USPS is a government agency, it does not use tax dollars to fund its operations, except for the loans it takes from the Treasury. It generates revenue primarily from the sale of stamps. Who uses mail anymore nowadays? We bet that Generation Z does not even know about the existence of stamps. The digitization of the world has shifted most transactions online through emails and texts. USPS mail volume has decreased by 33% since 2005. The pre-funding mandate and the decline in mail volumes has turned USPS in an incredible loss-making machine. USPS has raked in $77.8 billion in cumulative losses since 2007, and the pre-funding mandate accounts for more than 80% of these losses. Now, with the coronavirus putting the economy at a standstill, USPS anticipates losing $54 billion over the next decade as a result of the coronavirus's ramifications. USPS has requested $75 billion to avoid a liquidity crunch by this fall. $25 billion would be for direct funding. Another $25 billion would be borrowings from Treasury, and the remainder would be grants to modernize the post office. House Democrats came up with a plan for USPS that included a $25 billion cash infusion, the elimination of the current $11 billion debt, and a requirement for USPS to prioritize medical deliveries. The plan would also forgive the $48 billion pre-funding payments that USPS has defaulted on since 2012. However, Senate negotiators decided to push for only a $10 billion line of credit. That's basically signing USPS's death warrant. In 2018, USPS had an astronomical $126 billion in unfunded liabilities, around half of which was for the retiree health benefits. They are trying to find ways to boost revenue and cut costs in order to close the funding gap. However, we believe that the current business model does not allow for any major progress to be achieved. The collapse of USPS would have dire consequences to the economy. First, its over 500,000 workers would face the risk of losing their jobs. Then, small businesses would need to find alternatives to send their catalogs and flyers to customers. Also, deliveries of prescription drugs would be disrupted, as companies would need to find safe alternatives. Bailouts are a touchy subject, since it involves using taxpayers' money to save the business. And in USPS's case, although it is government-owned, it was not designed to be tax-funded. Bailing it out would reinforce the idea that government-owned agencies are not capable of operating efficiently as compared to the private sector. Think about how FedEx and UPS are generating billions of dollars in profits and are finding ways to deal with the coronavirus. One option to save USPS would be to privatize it. In 2018, the Trump administration proposed a plan to privatize USPS. Their thesis relied on the fact that a privatized postal operator would be able to cut costs and compete with other operators. However, this is easier said than done. The government would most likely need to forgive the current debt and terminate or freeze the pension plan. But after privatization, USPS could even go for an IPO. In 2013, an associate professor at Cornell calculated that taxpayers could realize $40 billion from USPS in an IPO. But now, in times of economic uncertainty, it will surely fetch a much lower valuation. Perhaps USPS could learn from Royal Mail, a British postal operator that was facing similar problems, although of a different magnitude. Royal Mail was dealing with a pension black hole, political dilemma, and resistance from union workers. In the end, it was privatized and listed on the London Stock Exchange. Here's something that's little known. In 2009, the Obama administration introduced a plan that would make USPS the first-line responders to biological terror incidents. This could have been extended to disease epidemics and pandemics. In a way, the coronavirus pandemic could have been USPS's moment to shine. What do you think the government should do? Do you think USPS should be bailed out or privatized? Let us know.